Has Jungkook remained silent all this time not because he didn't want to speak, but because he wasn't allowed to? Why did he finally dare to speak now? And why did his words shake an entire nation? The BTS reunion, which was initially filled with warmth and nostalgia among the members, drastically turned into the stage for the most shocking confession in the group's history. For the first time on camera, Jungkook spoke out about the treatment he received during his military service, and his confession immediately created an emotional storm among ARMY and the South Korean public. That night, cameras from various national and international media outlets were pointed at the 7 men who once shook the world. But only one voice echoed the loudest and left everyone stunned: Jungkook's voice. With sharp eyes and a trembling voice, he finally revealed something that had long been held in his heart, about the dark experience he endured as a soldier in the military field, not as a K-pop idol, but as a citizen who felt the harshness of the system. Jungkook revealed that he was placed in one of the most dangerous locations in South Korea, the border area between South and North Korea, a hotspot of armed conflict that could escalate at any moment. Why was an international artist like him, who had long brought Korea's name to the global stage, sent to such a dangerous place? Who made this decision, and what was the motive behind it? "I will not remain silent anymore," said Jungkook, his voice nearly breaking. "All this time I tried to be an obedient soldier. But I knew something was wrong when I was sent to the red zone without clear reasons, without extra security, and without the mental support that should have been given." Those words instantly silenced the room. Even RM, who usually responded quickly, bowed his head, as if holding back emotions. Jimin stared at Jungkook without blinking, and V, who also served in the military, began to cry. Jungkook also gave details that made everyone's skin crawl. He admitted there were times he felt like he was being watched closely and treated differently from his peers. "There were nights I slept in full uniform because I didn't know what would happen in the middle of the night. I felt like I was being used as a national symbol, but not given any protection." Although he didn't directly mention specific parties, Jungkook's statements seemed to point to the government and military system that treated him not as a human being, but as a tool for propaganda. "I am not a puppet. I have a life. I have a family. I have ARMY who deserve to know the truth." This confession certainly wasn't without risk. Some journalists quickly questioned whether Jungkook could face sanctions for statements deemed to defame the military. But shockingly, on the same day, an anonymous former military official leaked information confirming that it was true. There were special directives to place public figures in strategic positions during military service, even if high risk. Was Jungkook a victim of a system that sees no humanity, only influence and propaganda? ARMY around the world began drafting petitions, and even several international human rights organizations started paying attention to the confession. Could this open Pandora's box for the South Korean military system? Meanwhile, Big Hit Music chose silence. No official statement has been released since Jungkook's confession went viral. Some fans regretted the agency's response, seemingly allowing their member to face the storm unprotected. Speculation even arose that Big Hit may have known about the dangerous assignment, but had no power to fight the government's decision. Even more surprising, a South Korean military journalist leaked that Jungkook was not the only one who received harsh treatment. Several other public figures were also unfairly treated during their military service, but chose to remain silent. Jungkook is the first to bravely speak out. And when that voice echoed, the entire country suddenly realized not everything seen on the surface is the truth. And another part of his confession, Jungkook said, "There were times I felt I wouldn't return home. Not because I feared the enemy, but because of a system that seemed to want to prove I was nothing here." That statement broke the hearts of many fans. How could a young man who brought pride to his country be treated as if he meant nothing? Why does South Korea seem to not protect its cultural assets, but instead push them toward the edge? When asked if he regretted serving in the military, Jungkook replied with teary eyes, "I don't regret serving my country, but I regret that the country didn't serve its people." This statement hits the core of the entire issue. Is South Korea's system truly fair to everyone, or does it only side with certain groups? And are there further consequences now that this confession has spread? To this day, public discussion continues to grow. Some political figures have spoken out, some defending the military system, while others argue total reform is needed. Meanwhile, international media began comparing Jungkook's treatment with similar cases in other countries, including how public figures should be treated during military service. But one thing is certain, Jungkook's confession has opened the door for thousands of similar untold stories. He has become a voice for those who had no stage. And when that stage was finally used to speak the truth, the world could no longer look away. I ask this the beginning of a major shift in South Korea? Or will it become a moment erased by power? Only time will tell. But one thing that cannot be erased. That night, Jungkook was no longer just a singer. He became a symbol of resistance. However, after Jungkook's confession story spread and caused uproar, several crucial facts began to surface that disproved the accuracy of the narrative. In a short time, official clarifications emerged from various involved parties, including the military, Big Hit Music, and trusted insiders from BTS. All of them agreed that the information about Jungkook being stationed at a conflict border and receiving unfair treatment was untrue and had been distorted. The South Korean Ministry of Defense issued a written statement affirming that Jungkook, like all soldiers, was assigned according to standard procedures without any special or punitive treatment. They also clarified that Jungkook was never deployed to a red zone or armed border location with high risk. Internal military records show that Jungkook served in a relatively safe area and never reported any unusual incidents or inhumane handling as depicted in the viral story. Big Hit Music eventually broke their silence, stating that there was never any official interview or public testimony from Jungkook regarding his military experience. They emphasized that Jungkook had served calmly, with dedication and professionalism, and had not made any public statements about negative experiences during service. Big Hit also urged fans not to believe unverified sources and called on media outlets to be responsible when spreading information that affects their artist's reputation. Meanwhile, some of Jungkook's fellow military trainees who were contacted by the media said that Jungkook was highly respected for his humility and strong work ethic. They denied that Jungkook ever showed fear, trauma, or discomfort as portrayed in the viral narrative. In fact, according to them, Jungkook was treated fairly and equally, just like all other soldiers. Therefore, it can be concluded that the news about Jungkook being mistreated by the Korean government during military service and stationed in a conflict zone is not true. The story had been twisted from speculation and wild rumors without any factual basis. Although the story sparked deep emotions and concern among fans, it is vital for the public and media to verify every piece of information before widely disseminating it. This clarification confirms that Jungkook remains a positive representation of Korean youth service in the military and is not involved in any controversy as previously described.